Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is going to change the way you see everything you're going through right now. Have you ever felt like everything in your life is falling apart? Like the people you trusted suddenly walk away, like doors you were certain would open are now locked tight? You pray, you cry, you push forward, but no matter how hard you try, it seems like nothing is working. And you start to wonder, God, are you even listening? Oh, but hear me. This is the moment before the breakthrough. This is the fire before the blessing. When God is about to do something big in your life, you're going to feel the pressure, you're going to see the storm, and you might even feel like you're losing everything. But in reality, He is making room for something greater. There comes a moment in life when everything feels like it's crumbling around you. The people you thought would always be there start to fade away. The opportunities you believed were meant for you slip through your fingers. The dreams you worked so hard for seem further than ever. And in the middle of it all, you're left questioning everything. Why is this happening? Why does it feel like I'm losing instead of winning? But what if I told you this is not the end? What if I told you that what feels like your breaking point is actually the beginning of something far greater than you could ever imagine? Before a breakthrough, there is always a breaking. A breaking of old patterns, a breaking of toxic relationships, a breaking of the comfort zones that have kept you stuck. You see, God cannot take you higher while you are still carrying the weight of what was never meant to go with you. So He starts removing, He starts shifting, He starts allowing things to shake, not to hurt you, but to free you. And because it's uncomfortable, because it's painful, many people mistake this breaking for failure. But it is not failure. It is transformation. Think about the caterpillar before it becomes a butterfly. It goes into a dark, isolated place and its entire being is broken down. It is no longer what it was, yet it has not yet become what it is meant to be. It is caught in the in-between, a place of uncertainty, a place of waiting. And that is exactly what happens before your breakthrough. You will feel lost. You will feel like nothing makes sense. You will feel like you are losing yourself, but that is because God is not taking you back to what was. He is preparing you for what is to come. Most people resist this process. They fight against it, trying to hold on to the very things God is trying to remove. They cling to relationships that were meant to end. They chase after opportunities that were never theirs. They force doors open that God already closed. And in doing so, they prolong their own suffering. But when you truly understand that the breaking is necessary, you stop fighting it. You stop questioning every loss. You stop trying to rebuild what God Himself is tearing down. Instead, you surrender. You trust. You allow yourself to be molded even when you don't understand the why. The pain of breaking is real. It feels unfair. It feels exhausting, and it feels like a test you never signed up for. But there is something powerful about reaching that low point, because it is in the breaking that you finally let go of the illusion of control. It is in the breaking that you realize your strength alone is not enough. It is in the breaking that you cry out to God in ways you never have before, and that is where He meets you. Not in your pride, not in your self-sufficiency, but in your surrender. Some of the greatest blessings in life come disguised as losses. What you see as rejection is really protection. What you see as a setback is actually a setup. God is strategic. He allows certain things to collapse so He can build something better. But if you judge your life by what it looks like in the middle of the breaking, you will think you are losing when in reality you are being positioned for something far greater. That relationship that fell apart, it wasn't meant to go where you're headed. That opportunity that slipped away, it would have limited your destiny. The plans you made that didn't work out, God had something better in store. If you're in the middle of a season where it feels like everything is being stripped away, don't panic. This is not the end of your story. This is a transition. This is the space between who you were and who you are becoming. And I know it's tempting to run back to what feels familiar, but if you go back, you will miss what is ahead. You will miss the version of yourself that only this breaking can produce. You will miss the strength, the wisdom, the clarity that comes from walking through the fire and surviving it. Every great leader, every great warrior, every person who has ever stepped into something extraordinary has first walked through the breaking. There is no shortcut. There is no way around it. It is part of the process, because before God elevates you, he humbles you. Before he increases you, he strengthens you. Before he expands your territory, he prepares you to handle it. And that preparation often looks like loss. It looks like silence. It looks like isolation. But in reality, it is God working behind the scenes, rearranging everything to align with his perfect plan. The people who make it through this season are the ones who refuse to quit in the middle of it. They are the ones who don't let the pain make them bitter, but instead let it make them stronger. They are the ones who trust that if God is allowing something to be taken away, it is because he is about to replace it with something better. They are the ones who don't rush the process, but instead embrace it, knowing that when the time is right, everything will come together in ways they never could have imagined. So if you're in the breaking right now, hold on. Keep your faith strong. Keep your eyes fixed on what is ahead, not on what is behind you. Because the breakthrough is coming, and when it does, you will look back on this season not with regret, but with gratitude. Because you will see that everything, the pain, the loss, the confusion, was all necessary. It was all part of the plan. And you will finally understand that before God gives you something big, he first has to break what is small. Before he makes you whole, he first has to break what was holding you back. There comes a time in life when God starts removing people, situations, and even opportunities from your path. And it doesn't always make sense. You look around, and suddenly the ones you trusted the most start distancing themselves. The doors that once seemed wide open start closing. The things you thought were blessings begin to fade away. And in the middle of it all, you're left wondering, why is this happening? Why does it feel like I'm losing everything? But what if I told you that what looks like loss is actually God's way of preparing you for something greater? What if I told you that the very things you are trying to hold on to are the things that would have held you back? God sees the future. He knows where you're headed, and he knows who and what cannot go with you. Some people are only meant to be part of a chapter in your story, not the whole book. Some situations were meant to teach you something, not to define you forever. And when God starts separating you from what no longer serves your destiny, it can feel painful, but it is always intentional. You may not understand it now, but trust me, every removal, every closed door, every goodbye is a step closer to the life he has prepared for you. We often try to keep things that God is trying to remove. We hold on to relationships that have already expired. We chase friendships that were never meant to last. We beg for opportunities that were never part of our calling. And in doing so, we create our own pain. Because the longer we hold on to what was, the harder it becomes to receive what is coming. The more we fight against the removal, the more we delay our own breakthrough. But when you finally understand that what God removes, he replaces with better, you stop resisting. You stop questioning. You stop holding on to people who have already let go of you. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that just because someone started with them, they are meant to finish with them. Some people were only meant to walk with you for a season. They were there to teach you, to grow you, to challenge you, but they were never meant to stay. And when God begins to move them out of your life, it's not because you did something wrong. It's because their purpose in your journey has been fulfilled. Holding on to the wrong people will drain you. It will keep you stuck in places you were never meant to stay. And if you refuse to let go, you will miss the new relationships, the new opportunities, and the new blessings that God is trying to bring into your life. God doesn't just remove people, he removes mindsets. He removes bad habits. He removes the things inside of you that would have sabotaged your next level. And sometimes that removal process feels like breaking. It feels like loss. It feels like rejection. But in reality, it is protection. He knows what would have hurt you in the long run. He knows what would have distracted you from your calling. He knows what would have kept you from reaching your full potential. So when he starts stripping things away, don't fight it. Don't question it. Trust that he sees what you cannot see. Many times we pray for elevation, but we don't realize that elevation requires separation. If you want to rise higher, you cannot carry unnecessary weight. If you want to walk into your purpose, you cannot take everything and everyone with you. And the higher you go, the more you will see that some people were only attached to you because of where you were, not because of where you are going. Some were comfortable with you as long as you stayed the same. But the moment you start growing, the moment you start stepping into your calling, they start pulling away. And that's okay. Let them go. One of the greatest acts of faith is trusting that when God removes something, he is making room for something greater. You may not see it yet, but if you could see what was coming, you wouldn't even question what you lost. If you knew the kind of peace, the kind of joy, the kind of abundance he has for you, you would let go without hesitation. So stop trying to resurrect what God has already buried. Stop trying to fix what he already told you to release. Stop chasing after people who are no longer part of your destiny. What is ahead of you is far greater than anything that is behind you. Separation is preparation. If God is removing something from your life right now, it is because he is preparing you for something bigger. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, it may hurt. Yes, you may feel lonely for a season, but don't mistake loneliness for abandonment. God is not leaving you. He is isolating you so he can elevate you. He is setting you apart because what he has for you is not ordinary. It is not average. It is something that requires you to be stronger, wiser, and more focused than ever before. And that process starts with letting go. Some people will never understand your journey because they were never meant to walk it with you. Some doors will never reopen because they were never meant to be your final destination. And some opportunities will pass you by because they were distractions, not blessings. But what is meant for you will always find you. What is aligned with your destiny will never require you to beg, to chase, or to compromise your values. So if God is taking something away, trust that he is replacing it with something far greater than you could ever imagine. Hold on to your faith. Let go of what no longer serves you and walk boldly into the future God is calling you to. Because the moment you stop clinging to what was, you will finally have room to receive what is coming. And what's coming, it's bigger, it's better, it's beyond anything you have prayed for. But first, you must trust that if it's leaving, it was never meant to stay. There are moments in life when doors slam shut right in your face. Opportunities you prayed for don't happen. Relationships you thought would last forever suddenly end. Jobs you worked so hard for slip through your fingers. And in that moment, it feels unfair. It feels like rejection. It feels like God is turning his back on you. But what if I told you that the closed door wasn't rejection, but redirect? What if I told you that the very thing you're crying over was actually God's protection? Because when God closes a door, he is not punishing you. He is preparing you for something far greater. We don't always see it at first. Our limited minds can only understand what we want in the present moment. But God sees the entire picture. He knows what's on the other side of that door. He knows if it would have broken you, if it would have drained you, if it would have led you down a path that was never meant for you. And because he loves you, he doesn't allow you to walk into destruction just because you wanted it so badly. When God closes a door, it is because he has something better waiting for you. Something you may not understand now, but one day you will look back and realize that it was the best thing that ever happened to you. But here's the problem. We get so attached to what we want that we see a closed door as a personal attack. We think, maybe if I worked harder, maybe if I changed who I was, maybe if I just kept knocking, the door would open. But what if the very thing you are chasing is the thing God is trying to protect you from? What if that relationship you were begging for would have destroyed your spirit? What if that opportunity you lost would have led you away from your true calling? What if that job you didn't get was actually a detour leading you to something even greater? We must learn to trust that when God says no, it's because he has already seen what we cannot see. Sometimes closed doors are not about protection from harm, but preparation for elevation. God is not just keeping you safe, he is getting you ready. Because where he is taking you, you cannot carry everything with you. Some doors are closing because you've outgrown them. You've outgrown certain people, certain environments, certain ways of thinking. And if God allowed you to stay in a place that no longer fits who you are becoming, you would never reach the level He has called you to. The doors that are closing now are a sign that you are stepping into something greater. But it hurts. And let's be honest, trusting God when everything is falling apart is not easy. It takes faith to believe that loss is actually gain. It takes courage to walk away from what is familiar, even when it's not good for you. It takes strength to keep going when you don't know what's ahead. But faith is not about understanding. It's about trusting. It's about knowing that God is still in control, even when life feels like it's out of control. And the moment you stop looking at the closed door as a loss and start seeing it as a setup for something greater, you will begin to walk in peace, knowing that God never removes anything without replacing it with something better. You may be in a season right now where nothing is making sense. Doors are closing left and right. People are walking away. Opportunities are slipping through your fingers. And you are asking God why, but don't let frustration make you forget who your God is. He is not a God of confusion. He is not a God of failure. He is a God who plans every step of your life with precision. And if He is allowing doors to close, it means He is positioning you for something beyond your imagination. One of the biggest mistakes we make is trying to force doors open that were never meant for us. We keep knocking, we keep pushing, we keep fighting to hold on to what God is trying to free us from. But anything that requires you to beg, compromise your values, or lose yourself in the process is not from God. The right doors will open with ease. The right people will stay without you having to convince them. The right opportunities will come when you are ready, not when you are desperate. So if something is leaving your life, let it go. If a door is closing, step back. God knows exactly what He is doing. The truth is, we don't always get to see what God is protecting us from. Sometimes He closes a door and we never understand why. Sometimes He takes something away and we never see what would have happened if we had kept it. But that's where trust comes in. You don't have to see the danger to know it's there. You just have to trust that if God is blocking something, it's because He knows what's best for you. He knows your weaknesses, your blind spots, your tendencies to hold on to the wrong things. And because He loves you, He doesn't give you what you think you want. He gives you what He knows you need. Closed doors are not failures. They are not setbacks. They are not punishments. They are divine protection. They're God's way of saying, I have something better for you. And when you finally step into what He has prepared, when you finally walk through the door that was meant for you, you will look back at everything you lost and say, now I understand. Now I see why it had to happen this way. So stop trying to open doors God has already closed. Stop crying over what's gone. Stand firm in faith and believe that what is coming is far greater than what has been left behind. There comes a time in life when doors start closing and it feels like everything is falling apart. The relationship you thought would last forever ends. The job you worked so hard for slips away. The opportunity you prayed for never comes. And in those moments, the pain of rejection feels unbearable. It's easy to question God, to wonder if He's forgotten about you. But what if I told you that every closed door in your life was never meant to harm you, but to protect you? What if I told you that the very thing you're crying over was God's way of keeping you from something that would have destroyed you? When God closes a door, it is not punishment. It is not rejection. It is protection. We don't always see it that way. Our human nature makes us believe that if we lose something, it means we failed. If a person walks away, it means we weren't good enough. If an opportunity doesn't work out, it means we weren't capable. But that is a lie. Just because something didn't happen doesn't mean you weren't worthy of it. It means God had something better in mind. He sees what we cannot see. He knows the future we cannot predict. And sometimes what we think is a blessing is actually a burden in disguise. That person you begged God to keep in your life, maybe they would have broken your spirit. That opportunity you fought for, maybe it would have drained you. That situation you tried so hard to hold on to, maybe it would have led you further away from your purpose. When God removes something, it is never without reason, but here's the problem. We don't like to let go. We fight. We beg. We try to open doors that God has already shut. We knock over and over again, hoping that maybe, just maybe, it was a mistake. But God does not make mistakes. When he closes a door, it's because he has already seen what's on the other side, and he knows that it is not for you. And no matter how much you try to force your way in, he will not allow you to settle for less than what he has planned for you. Because settling may feel good for a moment, but in the long run, it will cost you more than you realize. Closed doors are often a sign that you have outgrown where you are. God is not only protecting you, he is preparing you. Because where he is taking you, you cannot bring everything and everyone with you. Some doors are closing because your destiny is too big for small-minded people. Some doors are closing because you are stepping into a level that requires new discipline, new wisdom, and new strength. And if God allowed you to stay where you are, you would never reach the place he has called you to. Growth is painful. Transition is uncomfortable. But nothing great happens by staying in places that no longer serve you. It is not easy to trust God when life doesn't make sense. It is not easy to have faith when you are losing things that you thought were meant for you. It is hard to let go of what feels familiar, even when you know it's not good for you. But faith is about believing that even when you don't understand, God is still in control. Faith is knowing that loss is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it is the very thing that saves you. Because when God closes a door, he is not leaving you empty-handed. He is making space for something far greater. You may be in a season right now where nothing seems to be going your way. Every effort you make leads to a dead end. Every plan you try to execute falls apart, and you are wondering, why is this happening to me? But instead of asking why, start asking what? What is God trying to teach me? What is he preparing me for? What is he protecting me from? Because God never removes without replacing. And if he is allowing doors to close, it means he is about to open something better. One of the biggest mistakes we make is trying to hold on to things that God is trying to take away. We think if I just try a little harder, if I just prove myself more, if I just make one more attempt, maybe things will change. But anything that requires you to beg, lose yourself, or compromise your values is not from God. The right doors will open naturally. The right people will stay without manipulation. The right opportunities will come when you are ready, not when you are desperate. And if something is leaving your life, don't fight it. Let it go. If a door is closing, don't force it open. Trust that God knows what he is doing. The truth is, you may never fully understand what God protected you from. Some battles were fought for you in the spiritual realm that you will never even know about. Some people were removed from your life because they would have betrayed you. Some opportunities didn't work out because they would have taken you down the wrong path. And because God is merciful, he does not always show us what could have been. Instead, he simply removes it before it can harm us. So instead of crying over what's gone, start praising God for his protection. Closed doors are not the end of your story. They are not roadblocks. They are not signs that you are failing. They are divine protection. They are God's way of saying, I have something better for you. And one day when you step into the blessings he has been preparing, you will look back and realize that every no, every loss, every redirection was leading you to something greater than you ever imagined. So stop knocking on doors that God has closed. Stop looking back at what was. Lift your head, trust his plan, and get ready, because what is coming is better than anything you have ever lost. There are seasons in life when you feel like you're walking through fire. Everything you built seems to be crumbling. The people you trusted turn their backs on you. The dreams you fought for start slipping away. And in the middle of it all, the pain feels unbearable. You wonder why God is allowing you to go through so much, why the storm won't pass, why the fire won't stop burning. But what if I told you that this fire is not meant to destroy you? What if I told you that what feels like the end is actually the beginning of something greater? The fire you're facing is not a punishment, it is a process. It is God's way of refining you of stripping away everything that is not meant for you, of preparing you for the place he has called you to be. Gold is not purified in comfort, it is purified in fire. Diamonds are not formed in ease, they are formed under pressure. And just like that, you cannot step into your destiny without first being refined. The fire is necessary because there are things within you that cannot go where God is taking you. There are weaknesses that need to be burned away. There are fears that need to be destroyed. There are mindsets that need to be broken. And if God left you the way you were, you would never be able to handle the blessings he has for you. The fire is not there to break you. It is there to make you stronger. It is there to shape you, to mold you, to transform you into the person you were created to be. But here's the thing. When you're in the fire, it doesn't feel like refinement. It feels like suffering. It feels like betrayal. It feels like everything is working against you. And in those moments, the enemy will try to convince you that God has abandoned you. He will whisper lies into your ear, telling you that if God really loved you, he wouldn't let you go through this. He will make you believe that your pain is proof of God's absence. But the truth is, your pain is proof of God's presence, because he only refines what he intends to use. He only prunes what he intends to grow. And if you're in the fire right now, it's because God sees something in you that is worth refining. The fire is also meant to burn away the people who were never meant to walk with you into your next season. Some relationships will not survive the fire. Some connections will fall apart. Some doors will close. And it will hurt, but it will also be necessary, because some people were never supposed to be part of your destiny. And if God allowed them to stay, they would have hindered your growth, distracted your focus, and kept you from stepping into what he has prepared for you. So when people walk away, don't chase them. When situations fall apart, don't try to hold them together. Trust that the fire is removing what was never meant to last. One of the hardest things about the fire is that it forces you to surrender. When everything is going wrong, when nothing makes sense, when you've done all you can and still feel stuck, that is when you truly learn to trust God. That is when you stop relying on your own strength and start leaning on him. Because sometimes God will allow the fire to get so hot that the only option you have left is to fall to your knees and pray. And in that place of surrender, in that moment of complete dependence on him, that is when you will experience his power like never before. The fire is not about breaking you, it's about bringing you closer to him. If you are in a season of fire right now, I want you to know that it won't last forever. The pain you're feeling is temporary. The storm you're facing has an expiration date. But what God is building in you through this fire, that will last forever. The wisdom, the strength, the resilience. Those are things that no trial can take away from you. And when you come out of this, you will not be the same. You will be wiser. You will be stronger. You will be prepared for the blessings that are coming your way. Because you don't go through fire and come out empty. You come out refined, polished, and ready for what's next. So don't fear the fire. Don't let the pain make you bitter. Don't let the struggle make you give up. Know that God is with you in the fire. He hasn't left you. He hasn't forgotten about you. Just like he was with Daniel in the lion's den, just like he was with the 3 Hebrew boys in the furnace, he is with you right now. And if he is allowing you to walk through this season, it means he is preparing you for something greater. It means there is a purpose for your pain. It means that this fire is not the end. It is the process before your elevation. You will not be destroyed. You will not be consumed. You will not be defeated. This fire is producing something in you that comfort never could. It is making you into a warrior. It is strengthening your faith. It is shaping your destiny. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that the fire didn't break you. The fire didn't ruin you. It refined you. The fire didn't take anything from you. It gave you everything you needed to step into the life God has called you to live. So hold on. Keep believing. Keep trusting. Because when this fire is over, you will be unshakable, you will be unstoppable, and you will be exactly who God created you to be. There comes a time in life when everything seems to stand still. You pray, but the answer doesn't come. You work hard, but the results don't show. You remain faithful, but doors stay closed. And in those moments, doubt creeps in. You start to wonder if God even sees you, if he hears your cries, if he cares about your struggle. But let me tell you something. This silence, this waiting, this long drawn-out season of uncertainty is not a punishment. It is a test. Before every promotion, before every breakthrough, before every elevation, there is a season of waiting, a season where your patience and faith are tested, a season where God sees if you truly trust him, even when you don't understand his timing. The truth is, you don't grow in seasons of comfort. You don't develop strength when everything is handed to you easily. You don't build unshakable faith when every prayer is answered immediately. No, real faith is tested in the waiting. Real faith is built in the silence. When nothing is happening, when it feels like God is distant, when every door is locked, what do? Do you give up? Do you walk away? Or do you stand firm and say, God, I don't see it, I don't understand it, but I trust you anyway? Because that is the kind of faith God is looking for. A faith that is not based on circumstances, but based on him. A faith that says, even if I don't get what I want, I will still serve you. Even if the answer takes years, I will still praise you. Even if I have to wait longer than I expected, I will not give up. Think about Joseph. God gave him a dream, a vision of greatness, a promise of promotion. But before he stepped into that promise, he went through betrayal, slavery, and prison. He spent years in waiting, years in struggle, years wondering if the dream God gave him would ever come to pass. But what Joseph didn't see in the moment was that every delay, every setback, every hardship was part of the preparation. God wasn't denying him. He was testing his patience, strengthening his faith, molding his character so that when the time came for his promotion, he would be ready to handle it. And when the doors finally opened, Joseph didn't just step into his destiny. He stepped into it with wisdom, with humility, and with a faith that had been refined through years of waiting. And the same is true for you. If you are in a season of waiting, know that God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. He is teaching you patience. He is building endurance in you. He is making sure that when he elevates you, you don't crumble under the weight of the blessing. Because promotion before preparation is dangerous. If you receive something too soon, before your character is ready, before your faith is strong enough, it can destroy you. That's why God delays things. That's why he doesn't always answer right away. Because he loves you too much to give you something that you are not ready for. So instead of getting frustrated in the waiting, ask yourself, what is God trying to teach me? Maybe he's teaching you to trust him fully, not just when things are going your way. Maybe he's teaching you patience, showing you that his timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't match your plans. And maybe he's developing discipline, perseverance, humility, things you will need when your breakthrough finally comes. Because let me tell you something, when God promotes you, it will happen suddenly. One moment you will feel stuck, the next doors will fly open. One moment it will feel like nothing is changing, the next everything will shift. But before that moment arrives, he has to make sure you're ready. You might feel like you're being overlooked right now. You might feel like everyone else is getting their breakthrough while you're still waiting. But don't compare your journey to someone else's. Their story is not your story. Their timing is not your timing. What God has for you is yours, and nothing and no one can take it away. But you have to be patient. You have to trust that God's delays are not his denials. You have to believe that if he's making you wait, it's because he's working on something greater than you could ever imagine. And let's be real, waiting is hard, it's frustrating, it's painful. But if you can endure it, if you can remain faithful even when it doesn't make sense, if you can trust God even when you don't understand his plan, then when your promotion comes, you will be unstoppable. Because you won't just have the blessing, you will have the strength, the wisdom, and the faith to handle it. The waiting is not wasted. The silence is not empty. God is working even when you can't see it. And when the time is right, when he knows you are ready, he will open the door so wide that no man will be able to shut it. So be patient. Keep trusting, keep believing, because when God finally moves, it will be bigger, greater, and more powerful than anything you ever expected. There are moments in life when the pain feels unbearable. When you cry out to God, but the heavens seem silent. When you ask, why me? Why this? Why now? But let me tell you something. Your pain is not pointless. Your suffering is not wasted. Every tear, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every trial, it all has a purpose. You may not see it now, but God never allows pain without reason. What you are going through is not meant to break you. It is meant to build you. It is shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for something greater. You see, the very thing that you think is crushing you is the same thing that is molding you into the person you are meant to become. Look at the greatest people in history. None of them became great without going through hardship. None of them reached their destiny without experiencing some level of suffering. Look at Joseph. His own brothers betrayed him. He was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned for years. But what seemed like setbacks were actually setups for something greater. God was not punishing Joseph. He was preparing him. Because when the time was right, Joseph went from the prison to the palace in an instant. And when he finally stood in the position God had destined him for, he looked back and understood every painful moment, every dark night, every season of suffering, it all led him to where he was supposed to be. And the same is true for you. The pain you are facing right now is not the end of your story. It is part of the process. It is part of God's plan to take you higher. Sometimes the only way to grow is through suffering. You don't develop strength when everything is easy. You don't build faith when everything is going your way. No, real faith, real strength, real endurance is forged in the fire of trials. It's built when you have no choice but to trust God, when you have no option but to keep going, even when everything inside you wants to give up. Because in those moments, you discover that you are stronger than you ever thought possible. And more importantly, you discover that God is with you in the pain. It's easy to trust God when life is good, when the blessings are flowing, when the prayers are being answered, when everything makes sense. But the real question is, can you trust him in the storm? Can you trust him when you don't understand, when your heart is breaking, when the doors are closing? That's where real faith is tested. That's where God separates those who only believe when it's easy from those who will stand firm no matter what. Because the truth is, pain reveals who you really are. It shows you what's inside of you. It strips away the fake, the surface level faith, and forces you to dig deep, to stand strong, to rely on God like never before. Think about gold. Before it becomes valuable, before it shines, before it is worth anything, it has to go through fire. The heat removes the impurities, burns away everything that doesn't belong, and refines it until it is pure. And that's exactly what God is doing with you. He is refining you through your pain. He is using every hardship, every setback, every disappointment to make you stronger, wiser, more faithful. So don't fight the process. Don't resist what God is doing, because the very thing that feels like it's breaking you is actually the thing that is making you into who you were always meant to be. I know it's hard. I know it hurts. I know there are nights when you wonder if you'll ever make it through, but let me remind you, you will. This pain will not last forever. This season will not break you. God is with you in the storm, and he has a plan for your suffering. He is working behind the scenes, turning your pain into purpose, your trials into testimonies, your heartbreak into healing. And when this season is over, when the fire has done its work, you will come out stronger, wiser, and ready for the next level. You may not see it now, but one day you will look back and understand. You will see why you had to go through this. You will see why God allowed the pain, why he let certain things fall apart, why he didn't answer certain prayers the way you wanted. And you will thank him. Because you will realize that every tear, every struggle, every painful moment was necessary. It was shaping you, positioning you, preparing you for something far greater than you could have imagined. So don't give up. Don't lose hope. Don't let the pain convince you that God has abandoned you. He hasn't. He is right there, walking with you through the fire, holding you in the storm, whispering, I know it hurts, but trust me. I am doing something bigger than you can see. And when the time is right, when the work is finished, when the process is complete, you will step into the blessing, the purpose, the destiny that God has been preparing you for all along. There are moments in life when doubt creeps in, when the weight of waiting feels unbearable, when prayers seem unanswered, when promises feel distant. You've held on for so long, but nothing seems to be changing. And in those moments, the enemy whispers, maybe God forgot about you. Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe you're not good enough. But let me tell you something. God does not forget. He does not change his mind. And his promises do not fail. If he said it, he will do it. If he spoke it, it will come to pass. It may not happen when you expect. It may not look the way you imagine, but one thing is certain. God always delivers on his promises. Think about Abraham. God told him he would be the father of many nations. But do you know how long Abraham had to wait? Years, decades. There were moments of doubt, moments when it looked impossible. He and Sarah were old, far past the age of having children. But God doesn't operate on human timelines. He doesn't work within the limits of logic. And when the time was right, Sarah gave birth to Isaac. Not because Abraham forced it to happen, not because he made it work on his own, but because God is faithful. What he promised, he fulfilled. And that same faithfulness that carried Abraham is the same faithfulness that is carrying you. God's timing is not our timing. We want things now. We pray and expect instant results. But God is not a vending machine. He is not bound by our impatience. He sees the bigger picture. He knows when you are ready, when the situation is aligned, when the promise will bring the greatest blessing. And if you're still waiting, if you're still wondering when your breakthrough will come, let me remind you, just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Delay is not denial. Sometimes God is preparing the blessing. Sometimes he is preparing you. But in every case, he is working even when you can't see it. The Israelites were promised a land flowing with milk and honey, but before they could step into it, they had to go through the wilderness. And in that wilderness, they started doubting. They started complaining. They wondered if God had abandoned them. But God had not forgotten his promise. He was leading them, providing for them, protecting them. And when the time was right, they stepped into their inheritance. Some of you are in that wilderness right now. You're wondering where God is, why the promise is taking so long. But trust me, God is leading you. He is guiding your steps. And if you keep walking in faith, you will step into everything he has promised. It's easy to trust God when things are going well, when doors are opening, when prayers are being answered, when life feels good. But what about when the doors are closed, when everything seems to be going wrong? That is when your faith is tested. That is when you have to stand firm and say, even if I don't see it yet, I believe. Even if I don't understand, I trust. Even if it looks impossible, I know my God is faithful. Because faith is not about seeing, it's about believing. It's about standing on God's word even when circumstances say otherwise. Joseph had a dream. God showed him a vision of his future. But before he could step into that promise, he was betrayed, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and imprisoned. To anyone looking at his life, it would have seemed like the promise was a lie. But Joseph never gave up. He kept trusting, kept believing, and in one moment, everything changed. He went from the prison to the palace, from forgotten to favored, from suffering to purpose. And when he finally stood in his destiny, he could look back and see God was working the whole time. Every hardship, every delay, every painful moment was leading him to exactly where he was meant to be. And the same is true for you. The waiting season is not wasted. The pain is not pointless. The setbacks are not signs that God has forgotten. They are part of the process, part of your preparation. What you are facing right now is not evidence that God's promise is failing. It's evidence that his promise is still in progress. And if you hold on, if you refuse to give up, if you stand on his word no matter what, you will see it come to pass. Because God's word does not return void. It accomplishes exactly what he sent it to do. God has never broken a promise, not once, not in history, not in scripture, not in your life, and he won't start now. What he has spoken over you is already written in heaven. No obstacle can cancel it. No enemy can stop it. No delay can erase it. It is yours. The key is to remain faithful, to trust him even when it's hard, to keep believing even when nothing makes sense. Because one day, the very thing you are praying for, the very promise you are holding on to will be your testimony. And when that day comes, you will look back and say, God, you were faithful all along. When God is about to give you something big, the journey leading up to it will test you in ways you never imagined. The waiting will stretch you, the struggles will refine you, and the setbacks will shape you. You will find yourself in seasons where nothing seems to be happening, where doors remain shut, where the promises feel distant. But in those very moments, God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating everything in your favor. His timing is always perfect, and when the moment is right, he will release exactly what he has prepared for you. Every delay, every hardship, and every unanswered prayer is not a sign of denial, but a sign of preparation. Before God blesses you with something great, he ensures that you are ready to handle it. He refines your character, deepens your faith, and strengthens your endurance so that when the blessing comes, you will not only receive it, you will be able to sustain it. Faith is most crucial in the moments when doubt creeps in, when nothing seems to be changing, when you feel like giving up. These are the very moments that determine whether you truly believe in God's promises. If you can trust him in the silence, if you can hold on to his word when everything seems contrary, then you are exactly where he wants you to be. God does not operate on human timelines. His delays are not rejections, but divine alignment. He is not only preparing the blessing for you, he is preparing you for the blessing. What may seem like an endless struggle is actually the molding process, ensuring that you will walk into your promise with strength, wisdom, and gratitude. Think of the greatest stories in the Bible. Abraham waiting for his son, Joseph enduring betrayal and imprisonment, the Israelites wandering the wilderness. Every single one of them had a promise from God, and every single one of them had to go through a season of testing before stepping into that promise. Abraham had to trust despite his old age. Joseph had to hold on despite being thrown into a pit and a prison. The Israelites had to keep moving forward despite the challenges of the desert. And in the end, every single one of them saw God's faithfulness. What he promised, he fulfilled. What seemed impossible became reality. What was delayed was not denied. And the same is true for you. If you are in a season where you feel like God is silent, if the doors keep closing, if everything seems to be falling apart, do not lose hope. This is not the end of your story. This is simply the process before the promise. The breaking before the breakthrough, the refinement before the blessing. If you could see what God is preparing for you, you would understand why he is allowing certain things to fall apart. Not everyone can go where he is taking you. Not everything can be part of the next chapter. Some doors must close. Some people must leave. Some situations must end so that the greater plan he has for you can unfold. When the time is right, God will make it happen. The doors that are meant for you will open effortlessly. The opportunities that align with his purpose will find you. The very things that once felt impossible will suddenly become your reality. And when that moment comes, you will look back and realize every trial, every delay, every hardship was worth it. You will see that God was never absent, never late, never unfaithful. It was working all along, aligning every detail, shaping your character, and preparing you for something far greater than you could have imagined. So keep the faith. Hold on to his promises. Stay patient in the process. Because when God is about to give you something big, everything leading up to it is simply proof that he is setting you up for a blessing beyond measure. Thank you for your time. God bless you all.